In this section, we consider what is disclosure of dyslexia and what this can mean for the dyslexic. Disclosure of dyslexia is when the dyslexic tells other people in their lives that they are dyslexic. In effect, they are starting to unmask this part of themselves that they have kept hidden, or for them it could be unrecognized dyslexia. Dyslexics have many reasons for not disclosing their dyslexia. They may not realize they are dyslexic. They may not feel safe enough to say in the workplace that they are dyslexic, or they are unsure how it will be received if they did disclose it. It could be that the dyslexic has their own personal feelings of stigmatism by being dyslexic. Since dyslexics are able to mask their dyslexic challenges well, it's not obvious they are dyslexic. They then can have some control over when they choose to let others know that they are actually dyslexic. Here are some comments we have had from adult dyslexics about the benefits of disclosing their dyslexia. If you disclose, you can have increased access to accommodations and support. You can openly use accommodations in the workplace and ask for help. By disclosing, you can advocate for yourself, emphasizing what you are good at, and there is a reduced fear of being unmasked or found out. Additionally, here are some comments we have had from adult dyslexics about the risks of disclosing. There can be assumptions made about dyslexia by those who are told. There can be the potential loss of control over who knows about it. The disclosure could be spread further to other people. By disclosing, it could mean expectations are lowered by the employer or the tutor. If it's disclosed during a job application, it may stop you progressing further to the interview stage. The workplace may ask for credible proof, for example, an assessment, and this can be a barrier in itself due to the costs and accessibility of getting a report done. And if you disclose, the workplace may not provide support anyway. In study situations at tertiary level, there is more awareness and therefore generally more acceptance and understanding of support in the next steps if a disclosure of dyslexia is made. However, the actual process of disclosing in itself can cause heightened anxiety. There are two types of disclosure that we have noticed. One is when the dyslexic chooses when and how to disclose, and the other is when, due to circumstances beyond their control, the dyslexic is forced to disclose their dyslexia. Disclosing dyslexia can be an emotional process. The dyslexic is shining a light on something they have attempted to keep hidden since they were young. They are mindful that not everyone understands what dyslexia is and have to judge, will I be understood if I disclose my dyslexia? Dyslexics have a better emotional outcome if they feel like they have had control over the timing and process of their disclosure. This is when it is their choice to disclose. However, in some circumstances, dyslexics feel forced to disclose their dyslexia, and this can have a negative emotional outcome on top of the reason for their forced disclosure. Environments where forced disclosure may happen include when the dyslexic is struggling at work or with study, and their normal strategies for managing, aren't working effectively anymore. This therefore can lead to increased anxiety, and this in turn reduces the effectiveness of their strategies at study or work. They can become overwhelmed as they struggle to manage, creating a downward spiral of reducing coping abilities with their work or study demands and increasing anxiety. This spiral can lead to dyslexic burnout. In this situation, it becomes harder or impossible to mask the dyslexia, and therefore the dyslexic feels compelled to disclose to their manager, team leader, or tutor. From this position, the dyslexic has to manage work or study demands, the anxiety of being unmasked, as well as the emotional implications of the shame. A lot more support is needed for the dyslexic to manage from this point, and outside support can be a benefit in these situations. When dyslexics do disclose, they also can have some choice about who to disclose to. Thinking about doing it in stages, such as with family and friends, first prepares the dyslexic before disclosing in the workplace or in public. It's also a way to practice the process of disclosing. Family can generally be the safest place to start. However, not all family members will understand straight away, so be mindful of who to approach in the first instance. Therefore, friends may be easier than family, especially if the friend has an awareness of dyslexia as well. This can be a safe space to practice and explore disclosing the dyslexia. There can be choice about who to disclose to in the workplace. It could be to the team leader, the manager or boss, or it could be to a workmate. In study situations, the dyslexic is likely to only need to disclose to one person, such as the tutor or a learning support person. From here, that person can then pass the information on as needed to help set up learning support. In a public setting, the dyslexic may be in a situation where they need assistance and therefore disclose their dyslexia to receive the necessary help. For example, if they are at a place where they have to fill out a form, they may ask for someone to write the answers. Disclosing to a dyslexia support group is a step dyslexics can take to practice the process of disclosing. In this supportive environment, dyslexics have time to learn more about their dyslexia and how they manage their strengths and challenges. This then gives them more skills to advocate for themselves when disclosing in public or at work. If the dyslexic chooses to disclose, it is worth putting thought into how to go about it and what support is already available around them. Some suggestions for what the dyslexic can have in place to help with the disclosure include how to explain what dyslexia is. In many instances, people without lived experience of dyslexia have limited knowledge of what it is. This means the disclosure process is also a learning process for the person being disclosed to. If the workplace has a diversity and inclusion policy, it may be worth looking at this. Also following up on if there is an employee resource group for neurodivergent thinkers. Be mindful in these groups to connect with other dyslexics. Dyslexics can mask even within these neurodivergent groups. Here we break the disclosure process down further for when the dyslexic has decided to disclose, or even when they feel forced to disclose. Just note that the brain space for a forced disclosure will be limited, and so this process can potentially add to the overwhelm. Seek assistance and support for developing the plan where possible in this case. The planning part includes how the dyslexic is going to present the information, whether it's spoken or supported with written material. The written material could be a report if they have one, information about dyslexia, or links to websites that explain dyslexia. The plan includes who the dyslexic is going to tell and how they are going to say it. For example, how are they going to use strength-based language? They don't need to say they are dyslexic as such and can refer to it as their brain needing to process information in a certain way. With the plan, they may include information from the organisation's diversity and inclusion policies and practices. And they may also consider taking a support person along with them. They'll look at when is the best time to meet with the person and set up a specific meeting time so it's not a rushed process and the person they are telling can fully concentrate. The idea with the planning is to give the dyslexic a sense of control over the process, to control their narrative, and to have an opportunity to present their dyslexia as a difference with strengths. Practicing what they are going to say is a way to cement the knowledge for the dyslexic. But that external verbalization process, which is talking about it with someone, is important for assisting the dyslexic to see the big picture of what they are trying to achieve. With providing information, this is a chance to educate those who may not know much about dyslexia. Think about what strength-based information can be provided to support the dyslexic's disclosure.